Many people think the third eye is a metaphor, but no, it is a real sense buried beneath layers of distraction, fear, and comfort. Left dormant, it shrinks to a whisper, lost under noise. But when awakened, it cuts through illusion with terrifying precision, offering truths the rational mind is too slow to grasp. Those who seek it casually will never reach it. Awakening the third eye demands a stripping away of noise, of comfort, of the dead weight of surface living. It is not a trick or a ritual. It is a tearing down of false seeing, a surrender to forces larger than ordinary thought. In this video are the 10 forces you must set free if you want your third eye not just open, but roaring awake. 1. Purge the noise. Your third eye starves on mental clutter. Most people cannot hear the third eye because the noise of their thoughts drowns everything softer. The inner voice does not shout, it waits. Every petty worry, every spiraling over-analysis feeds a storm that keeps the eye blind and the senses dull. Purging the noise isn't a minor step, it's survival. Silence isn't optional when it comes to activation. It is the first and most brutal requirement. Until you can sit without needing to fill the void with thinking, entertainment, or internal dialogue, the third eye remains choked beneath the noise. You cannot hear clarity while you are still clinging to distraction. This is why so many people feel stuck. They meditate but bring their chaos into the silence. They sit still, but their minds riot. True silence is not just the absence of words, it's the breaking of the mind's addiction to narrating every moment. It is the naked stillness where true seeing can finally surface. 2. Break your addiction to the physical world. The third eye cannot open fully in a mind chained to the physical. When your identity is anchored in possessions, status, appearance, or external proof, your deeper senses have no space to breathe. The soul speaks in whispers that the material world drowns in endless hunger and noise. Activation demands a loosening of these chains, not because material things are evil, but because obsession with them calcifies the very parts of you meant to see beyond surfaces. The more your energy bleeds into chasing what fades, money, fame, image, the less life remains for what is permanent. You cannot serve two masters. One seeks security in the fragile and temporary. The other seeks truth beyond what can be measured or touched. A mind cluttered with comparison, envy, and endless wanting cannot also carry the still fire of intuition. You must choose which current you swim in. 3. Fast from comfort. Comfort kills psychic sight. Comfort is not always kindness. In fact, too much comfort softens the instincts that were designed to keep your deeper senses awake. When the body and mind are never challenged, when life is padded at every corner, the third eye atrophies in the slow death of convenience. Pain, discomfort, effort, these are not enemies of awakening. They are chisels that crack open the thick shells built by years of safe, numb living. It is not suffering for its own sake that activates the third eye. It is the willingness to walk into discomfort, to endure what most would flee, that teaches the inner senses to sharpen. Small practices matter. Choosing fasting over indulgence, silence over noise, stillness over escape. Every time you resist the easy way, you strengthen a deeper current inside you, the one that doesn't break under pressure but sharpens. Intuition is a blade, not a pillow. 4. Stimulate the pineal gland with light and darkness. The pineal gland, often called the physical seat of the third eye, responds not just to imagination or meditation, but to the raw forces of light and dark. Too much of either, and it dulls. Balance them consciously and it awakens like a living crystal inside the mind. Exposure to natural cycles of sunlight by day and deep darkness at night recalibrates the pineal's forgotten rhythms. Artificial light confuses it. Endless stimulation numbs it. Without real contrast, the bright blaze of day and the heavy silence of true night, the gland withers, along with the intuition it anchors. This is not a small technicality. It is biological truth married to spiritual awakening. The body's rhythms and the soul's vision are not separate. They feed one another. Deprivation of natural rhythms is deprivation of deeper sight. 5. Flood your mind with symbolism, not logic. The language of the third eye is not words, numbers, or charts. It's symbols, shapes, colors, patterns. When you feed your mind only logic, you starve the deeper parts of you that know how to recognize meaning without explanation. Intuition is visual, emotional, layered, not linear. Symbolism unlocks the part of the mind that intuition calls home. It teaches you to recognize patterns without needing to dissect them, to feel a meaning whole instead of tearing it into parts. Ancient cultures understood this. They passed truths through myth, image and ritual because they knew the deepest wisdom couldn't survive in pure logic. When you expose your mind to symbols, art, sacred geometry, dreams, myth, you soften the grip of the rational mind and strengthen the intuitive field. Logic has its place, but it can never lead you into realms that only the soul can map. Symbols are doorways, and your third eye knows how to walk through them. 6. Trust the first feeling, not the second thought. The third eye speaks quickly. It moves faster than conscious reasoning because it bypasses doubt. The first feeling you get, the sharp tug, the soft warning, the clear recognition, is almost always pure. The second thought that follows is where fear, logic, and hesitation creep in to choke the message. This is one of the hardest lessons in activation, to recognize and trust the first flash before your mind begins its sabotage. The human brain is trained to doubt what it cannot explain, to dismantle the sudden knowing that intuition provides. Yet the third eye does not argue, it simply offers. You must catch the gift before the mind buries it. Learning to separate the first true signal from the second fearful thought requires ruthless honesty. You must admit how often you already knew and ignored it. Only then can you begin to rebuild trust with the part of yourself that sees more clearly than your plans or fears ever could. Each time you honor that first feeling, even in small ways, you reinforce the strength of the signal. Your third eye grows louder, faster, more undeniable. But hesitate, second guess, or dismiss it, and you silence it further. Instinct is the voice, thought is often the jailer. 7. Visualize your third eye opening like a burning star. Imagination is not enough to awaken the third eye. It demands focused, fiery inner vision. A weak, half-hearted image carries no charge. But when you visualize your third eye not as an idea but as a burning star, a searing force tearing through darkness, you give it fuel to ignite. Energy flows where directed will shapes it. When you picture the third eye as something alive, powerful, consuming shadows, you tap into the deeper currents of intention that mechanical meditation misses. Your body responds, your energy field stirs. Your deeper senses stretch outward to meet the image you hold. This isn't about faking belief. It's about feeding the ancient part of yourself that moves in symbols and sensation. You don't think your third eye open. You light it from the inside, shaping it with images so vivid your body feels them like gravity. 8. Embrace solitude until it devours you. True activation demands stepping into spaces where noise cannot follow. Solitude isn't an escape, it's a sharpening. Without the constant pull of other voices, other needs, other distractions, the third eye has room to stretch and breathe. You must learn to be alone, not as punishment, but as preparation. Many fear solitude because they mistake it for abandonment. But real solitude is a returning to yourself, to your own unfiltered signals. The longer you sit inside it, the clearer you hear. At first, your mind will rebel, throwing every discomfort it knows at you. This is not failure, this is the beginning. As you stay inside the silence without rushing to fill it, the layers of distraction begin to rot away. What remains is raw, often uncomfortable, but it is real. Your instincts grow sharper, your perceptions deepen. You begin to notice what was always waiting beneath the surface, muted by constant interaction. 9. Meditate on the space between breaths. Most people treat breathing as background noise, a biological process forgotten in the rush of living. But the third eye listens between the breaths, in the silent pause that lives between giving and receiving life. The space after an exhale, just before the next inhale, is not empty. It's where your deeper senses bloom. When you sit with full attention on the stillness between breaths, something shifts. The mind's chatter softens. The need to chase, plan, react, all of it falls away for a moment. Inside that small gap, intuition rises unforced, carrying with it a kind of clarity that words fail to explain. Breathing meditation is not about control. It's about noticing the ancient rhythm that has sustained you without your command. When you drop into the natural still points between movement, you align yourself with forces much older than thought. 10. Expect pain, confusion, and chaos before clarity. There is a reason few truly awaken their third eye. The process is violent to illusions. When true intuition begins to break through, it often shatters the structures you built to feel safe. Certainties crumble, beliefs rot, directions you thought were clear turn into mist. This disorientation is not failure, it is a sign of approaching real sight. The mind, conditioned for comfort and predictability, cannot hold both blindness and vision at once. One must die for the other to live. That death is messy, frightening, and necessary. You will question yourself. You will wonder if you are losing your mind. You will face days where the old paths collapse and no new ones appear yet. This is the breaking open the third eye demands, a hollowing of false seeing to make room for true perception. On the far side of that chaos lies a clarity you will not be able to unsee. But you must pass through the storm, not around it. Pain, confusion, and collapse are not obstacles. They are the price of awakening, the sight that never lied to you, even when everything else did. If you have made it this far, let us know what you think in the comments section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.